Hey everybody, got a bunch of exciting updates I wanted to share. Take a little break from the tutorial stuff. We'll get back to that. But I feel like a lot of like random amazing things have all happened in like the span of like a week or two. Some context. Started waking up at 5 in the morning. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock right now. I'm drinking my coffee over here. Yeah, it's been tough. It's a brutal thing, but I actually like love it a lot, and I highly recommend it. I'm gonna get into why I started doing this. First exciting thing is we're gonna have a baby girl next week. That's crazy. That's amazing. That's huge. That's baby number 2 for us. We have a son, 2-year-old. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. We're thinking about this due date, and we're just like, oh, we've got to get our lives together, right? We got to get everything in place before everything goes mental. Because any parents out there know what the first couple months are like. So it's gonna be nuts. But we're excited. I've always found it to be like really important to still work. I don't want to say I'm a workaholic, but I do enjoy work, especially like teaching, educating others, mentoring, all that stuff. I mean, that's why I'm here, right? And I didn't want to lose that. And I feel like working in the morning gives me like 2 hours of just like peace. Nobody wants anything from me. I can literally just like lock in. I can do these recordings. I can do any work. I can just chill, because I feel like from 7 a.m. on, it's just mayhem, constant mayhem, and I feel like this is a nice little break. So anyways, if you're trying to squeeze some extra productivity time out of your day, highly recommend it. Little pro tip: set your coffee machine to automatically brew a pot of coffee at 5 o'clock, so you wake up to the scent of coffee. It's amazing. Let's talk about the next amazing thing. We started this channel like seriously in September, and I say seriously because like I'd randomly post a YouTube video here and there, but it wasn't any good. But like I took it seriously because I was like, when I think about like when I'm the happiest, like work wise, like, and this is why waking up at 5 o'clock is a good idea, because you could actually like think about these things, kind of like meditate on it. Think about like what makes you happy, right? Because it's like we work and we work and we work, and it's like, is it the work that I care about? I'm not saying like I don't like my work. I'm just saying it's good to think about what actually makes you happy. And I feel like looking back at my experience and like my history, and just like my career, the common thread was I was always teaching or tutoring, doing something related to education, right? And I feel like that was always the most meaningful kind of work. And the reason being is, I'll give you an example. I teach college design visualization, and we'll talk a little bit more about that this video. But the most amazing thing, I think, when it comes to teaching is you go in week 1, right? You don't know these students. They're just strangers. They don't know you. They don't trust you. You don't trust them, maybe. And they know nothing. Obviously, they know like the basics, but we're talking about design visualization. They've never rendered before. They understand 3D modeling, but they've never rendered. It's week 1. Week 15, because that's how long the semester is, they're showing you renderings, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You're just like, how did they do this? How did they go from like week 1 to week 15 and have this like amazing work? It sounds stupid, but it's like, you did this. You know what I mean? Like, you're the reason they learned this. When the class finishes and they say thank you, like, my final crit went well, or like I got a job, like that's the payoff. And I feel like that's the super exciting thing that I want to replicate with YouTube, right? And like I love seeing all the comments from you guys like, oh, this tutorial really helped me out. I had a deadline. I figured out this problem because of you. Like, that's great. And I think this is like, I think I was right in choosing to do this. I bring up the students because it's a lot like you guys. You're starting out ArchViz, or you want to improve yourself, and like you just want to get better. And it's like, it's tough. It is such a difficult profession. And I say this often, I make this joke, but I feel like people who are in technology to some degree aren't normal. And I don't mean that like in a bad way, but if you think about like the people out there, you've got like people who don't even know how to use a computer or a phone, like struggling with like doing the most basic things, like filling out a form or something. And then you have like us in this like a weird corner over here that need to understand how to like 3D model, understand composition, lighting, all these rendering tools, hardware. I mean, it's just like, an insane amount of things compared to just people who don't need to worry about this. And so it's just crazy that you can actually learn all that in a short period of time, or just through videos. And it's like, I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing the ArchViz and architecture thing for like 15 years now. You know, I graduated back in 2014 and I started working in architecture in 2009. I mean, ArchViz was like a way for me to just like literally get by. Like, I needed model supplies, right? Like, you know, in architecture school, you build these physical models out of like basswood, balsa wood, chipboard, whatever. And the supplies were so expensive. Like, you would go to Blick and like, or Utrecht, shout out if you remember that. And it was so expensive. You would spend like hundreds of dollars on these pieces of material just so you could build a physical model. And like, you're not going to get that by doing minimum wage jobs. You know, I was working at Rite Aid Pharmacy. I was a cashier, and then I became a supervisor. So instead of making minimum wage, I made minimum wage plus $1. Crazy. But ArchViz, it was like my way to bring in some extra money so I could literally survive. And I've just stuck with it ever since then, because I feel like it's one of the few professions where you can actually do all of this with a computer, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you're doing all these different things, and although it's, you know, super complicated, it is really awesome making beautiful images out of like all your work of like modeling and building the scenes and everything. Like, that's great. And I've always loved it. And it's just like such like a simple thing to explain to people. Like, in theory, like anyone could be a client. I started doing work for like my extended family. Like, oh, you know, I want to renovate my deck. You know, what does that look like? And, you know, you mock it up, you show them the renderings, and they're like, oh my God, this is like you do this. Like, that blows people's brains. And like, that's the normal people. Like, they don't, I feel like we get in the weeds of like, oh, this isn't photorealistic enough, you know, like people with all their like silly comments. And then you have like the other spectrum people that like, just the idea of a 3D model is mind blowing, right? So I don't know. I'm just putting perspective out there that I think sometimes we get caught up in what we're doing here, and we don't take a step back and reflect. And again, I'm going to go back to the 5 o'clock thing. I feel like this is the only time where I can sit and like process like what's going on. So anyways, you know, I've had this graph up this whole time of me ranting. All I want to say is thank you. I mean, what I was trying to say is like, we started out in September with 7 subs, right? And then just like last week, I mean, we basically like doubled and then some our subscriber base. That's awesome. Seems like we're doing something right here. If you have any video ideas, let me know. But anyways, this is great. I'm like so excited that people like the content, that people are tuning in, they're sharing it. That's awesome. So big thank you. On the thank you front, there's, you know, the more news I want to share, the exciting thing. And another reason why I get up at 5 o'clock is like, I've been working on this thing. I call it the ArchViz Academy. Okay. You know, going back to what I was saying about my students in college, I would say they were almost like my pilot for this, where I wanted to see, could I take somebody with no skills in ArchViz and have them create something beautiful? And they proved my point. It can be done. I always thought, you know, you have to go through like 5-10 years of trying to figure this out to get to that point. But I think the beauty of having somebody who knows what they're doing, that's me most of the time, you cut out so much of that trial and error. And I think it's still very important to do trial and error. Absolutely. And I will argue that's the whole point of homework, if the homework assignment is actually valid, and like related to the assignment. That's when you do your trial and error. So check this out. I want to share this with you guys. I'm going to give you like a little preview of what I've been working on. The other thing is kind of random, but I started making videos back in September, and I just started putting them out, saying what people are interested in. And I don't think I ever like officially introduced myself to you guys. You know, people from work know who I am, but you guys have just been tuning in and you probably have no idea who I am, right? So just explain real quick. who I am, who is this guy who's always talking about D5. But yeah, I'm an architect. I went to architecture school. I got licensed. That was a whole process. Happy to talk about that later, but that's brutal. Like, that was tough. I highly recommend it. It sounds crazy, but it's fun. It's a good thing to have. But yeah, I've been in the ArchViz space for so long. And then recently the AI space. And so I've been kind of combining the two because there's so much overlap between like the generative AI stuff and visualization. And like people keep saying like, oh, we're going to lose our ArchViz jobs because of AI. Literally this talk where this photo's taken from is me saying like, that's not going to happen. I think at the end of the day, people forget one thing. Like, our clients don't want to do the work themselves, right? They want to talk to a human being. That's us. And then the other side of it is like, AI can't do everything right now. It's not specific enough. Like, if I say, or if a client says like, I need this specific spec, it can't do it that well, right? It's really difficult to just get that swatch and plug it in and get what you want, right? So that's my point. Will that change? Yeah, probably, but I don't think the industry is going away. I think that's just like such a, I don't want to say like a silly mindset. Sure, some jobs will be impacted, but my counter argument to that is, if your client's replacing you with Midjourney, you probably never wanted that client. I mean, that's just like an insane thing. Midjourney's generating like random stuff. You don't want that. So I'll leave it there. But anyways, AI, ArchViz guy. I've presented at all the big conferences, GTC, AU, Built, and it's awesome. I love going out. You know, it's a little bit harder having a family, right? But I love going out, seeing people that care about this stuff. You know, seeing people that like watch the content, and just like literally nerd out about a topic. Like, that's awesome. And this goes back to what I was saying about education, in my opinion, being such like a big part of what I love doing, right? So anyways, I want to talk about what I've been doing here. This is like my secret project, my little hobby, my 15th hobby, right? So what I did is I took the college course I just taught and I repurposed it or tweaked it for an online format. So I want to run through some of the topics I'm going to cover in this. And this is like something I've been working on nonstop for the past 6 months. That's why I have these bags under my eyes and all these gray hairs. It's just like, it is a lot of work, but I feel like people want this. You guys have been asking me about courses and how to learn more D5 and like become an ArchViz artist. So this is it. This is my take on this. So basically, we start out, you know, we do our introductions, we meet everyone. I go into the fundamentals of ArchViz. So we talk about like composition, camera settings, hardware, all that stuff. And then we start getting into the nitty gritty, right? Like, start teaching you about how to read floor plans, right? So you don't have to go to architecture school. And so I do that so you guys can actually translate the drawings you get from clients and build your models properly, right? Then we'll talk about materials, and then I go into a super deep dive on D5, right? You guys know how I feel about D5. I feel like it's the best render engine we have right now, and it's just going to get better. I know it's controversial to some, but look at the functionality, look at the dev speed, look at the cost. I mean, it's insane, but we're going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to take everything in my brain about D5 and explain it to you. You know, we'll go through the settings you need to know and all that. Then I'm going to share, you know, some of my workflows when it comes to like the not so fun stuff, like the project management side, like folder structures, naming conventions, things I use to kind of simplify making the work for my clients. And then how to like actually get that in like a branded presentation deck for your own presentations. And you know, that could be for your freelance work, or like you're pitching something at work, right? It's not just like for freelancers, it's for architects, designers, all those people. Then I want to talk about AI in ArchViz. I have a whole lecture about how I feel about that. Again, our jobs aren't going anywhere. Then next, you know, deep dive into storytelling with animations, talk about post-production, you know, some AI tools I use, some photoshopping, all that. And then some great little exercises. These are 3D models that the team has literally modeled, and as an exercise, we import it, we render it, and then you get a portfolio piece. Because that's like what I realized from teaching the class is like, my job is really to help my students get a job, right? Like, it sounds stupid, but that's the reason why you go to college, right? And I wouldn't recommend going to college for ArchViz. I think ArchViz is a fantastic career you can learn on the side, but I don't think it's something you go to school for 4 years. I think I don't want to say it's overkill. I think there's definitely merit in it. I'm not trying to offend anyone. It's just, I think learning architecture is probably more important than going to school for architecture. But if you really are like serious about like 3D and you want to get into film, then that's a different thing. Then yeah, you should go to school for that. But if you want to make, beautiful images, just to like improve your own projects and just like, make money through freelancing, you can definitely learn this online. I mean, like, I literally make videos about learning this stuff, right? So yeah, that's super cool. And I have all these templates that I'll be sharing with you, like how to create a portfolio. There are so many times in a day where I get pitched by somebody on LinkedIn and their portfolio either doesn't exist or looks really bad. So I just made one for you guys. So little perk of that. And then I've got a whole module on just clients. How do you actually find clients? How do you price your services? How do you manage them? Because I feel like this is all stuff people don't talk about online. I don't know why. I think it's such an important thing, but like, everyone talks about like how to 3D model or render, but like nobody talks about the business stuff. So that's why I created all this, because I want to get everything that's in here out to you guys. And what I want to do, just, this is going to go live, hoping for February, mid-February. Who knows what the baby, what actually happens. But what I want to do before I even, kick this off is just like as a thank you to everyone watching this video and subscribing. I want to just host like a live webinar kind of thing, an AMA, ask me anything. But what I want to do is actually just critique people's work. That's like what I can do, give you guys some feedback on any project you're working on, right? So if you're interested in that, I'll show you where the sign up is in just a moment. But again, it'll be like an hour long. You guys can ask me anything related to ArchViz, related to the Academy, if you're interested in that. And I just want to spend some time bringing up people's images, marking them up, sharing tips, trying to make your lives easier, point things out that might not be obvious for you. So that's like my thank you to you guys. If any of this sounds super interesting, just go to archviz.academy and that's it. And just join the waitlist. I don't have the exact day it's going to launch, but we're thinking mid-February. We're going to launch it. You can sign up for the waitlist. Doesn't mean you have to buy it, but this is how you'll get alerted about that live webinar I was just talking about. So if any of that interests you, just go there, join it. I think this is like perfect for literally anyone who's in the design space. So you could be an architect, 3D artist, designer. This is really like for you. But really, again, thank you to everyone who's been watching these videos. Really appreciate all the amazing feedback and comments and like you guys asking for more. That's great. I had no idea what I was doing starting out. And it's just great to hear from people that this stuff is interesting and that we care about it. So I'll put a link in the description if you're interested, but join the waitlist. I want to create a community of people who actually care about like ArchViz, like on a crazy primal level, that just want to talk about this, improve, get more clients. I'm here to help. That's the best way I could summarize all this. Like, I want to help you guys, and this is, in my opinion, the best way I can help, because there's only so much I can do in YouTube. But if we're all in one community and you're literally learning from my online college course, right, we'll have the same foundational baseline. You know what I mean? That's what I've got on the table. Again, the waitlist is free, literally costs nothing. So if you want updates on all this, sign up for that. But again, it's been a wild ride. We are literally just getting started. That's the crazy thing. Like, I know it's been 6 months, but I'm going to be here for a while. That's the goal. I think this is awesome. And I want to do more of it. I want to hear more from you guys. And I want the Academy so much to be a place for artists and designers to just hang out and talk about this stuff, because I feel like it doesn't exist. Anyways, thank you so much if you made it this far. As always, please drop a comment if you have any questions. Happy to answer it. And subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's try and hit 10,000 this year. I mean, that'd be amazing. But again, I am like so excited to get all this stuff out. The baby, the Academy. I mean, it's crazy. This is 2025. It's gonna be a crazy year, but we're here together. It's gonna be awesome. So thank you for joining me in this ride. See you guys.